Hi, Judy. Glad you found us. We're still setting up. We're going to get started in just a moment. We got to share it to Facebook.
I don't know what's wrong with my Facebook, but it is not loading messaging properly.
We're both sick, so we apologize for that. Natalie is liking to sit on the right side so that I keep turning the screen towards her.
When I'm set up. I can't tell if that worked.
Okay, it looks like more of you guys are finding us. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're still setting up, so we'll get started in just a moment. But say hi in the chat on YouTube. Let us know who's watching and where you're watching from. We're glad to have you.
Tell me if you got here from the post on Facebook, because it's being very strange.
Doesn't look strange to me.
Okay.
I mean, other than it's not a link.
Right, but it is on this version.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Hey, Allison, how you doing? Hey, Brian. Okay, at least one of them got the notice directly from YouTube.
Good.
Okay, you almost done?
Yeah, I was just going to swap it out for a better link.
Nah, don't worry about it. We're here now.
Okay.
Yes, we were just looking at some weather reports from California talking about their crazy amounts of rain this year.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to NAMA. We've got a lot of questions this time around.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yep, this is our last NAMA of the year, so we'll probably talk a little bit about the next year and a little bit about the year that we just ended, and I will spring Natalie a bunch of questions that she was not prepared for, I'm sure.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
It's very cold here. Yesterday it went from 71-ish degrees to 15 degrees.
Yeah, and we both got sick.
Even colder overnight.
Yeah, so we're both currently sick right now. So pardon us for that. Let's see, what news have we got?
Another question I'm not prepared for.
Apparently not.
We're pretty much home in January, but then we're getting ready to ramp up for a whole bunch more travel.
Yes. We just finished our Christmas party. We did something brand new. For those who were there, you already know what we did. We did a Christmas escape room. I've been wanting to do a dog escape room for a long time, and we finally put one together for the Christmas party. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun putting it on, and I filmed the setups and might release it into a course. We want to do a murder mystery as well, maybe May, maybe June. We'll figure that out.
Yep. Probably most of you are familiar with escape rooms, but what was going on in this, especially being nosework related, was that the dog would find the clues, and then the handler had to figure out the puzzle, how to work the lock, or where presents needed to go, or whatever. So the handler had to do more than you normally have to do in a nosework search, especially mentally.
Yes.
We've got a suggestion of hot toddies, which is a great idea. I'm currently drinking a non-alcoholic version, essentially, of a hot toddy.
I'm drinking normal alcohol. I don't
Not
care if I
warm
ever
either.
recover. No, not warm. Just I'm drinking a glass of port. So okay, so that went really well, and I want to do more events like that in the future as we get locations and new ideas and all that kind of stuff, because I really do think the escape room was fun.
Yeah, and we've always wanted to do a version that incorporated quite a bit of obedience.
Yes.
And I think we should try to do that.
The problem is you just have to require
warn
people
people.
have send outs and retrieves, because I don't
Yeah.
just want it to be like do a trick and open a door. I want it to be like, well, there's a key and you can't get there, but your dog could get there by crawling under this thing and then retrieve it to you. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, so I think we need to figure out exactly what
Yes.
will be required of the dog, and then list that out, and then people can prepare.
And I think maybe
And a lot of people already have that stuff.
I think
but not
maybe the
everybody.
place to start with that actually would be to do an obedience game day
Mm.
of obedience games. And I haven't done that in a very long time. I think there's a lot of people here who would be interested in that. So maybe we should do that. Maybe we should plan an obedience game day. Maybe run a side-by-side nosework and obedience game day.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, if you're interested in obedience games, let me know. If you would attend an event like that, it would be competitive. It would be fun. It would be unpredictable. It would be real obedience, not competition obedience, although competition obedience may help in some ways. You know, we might use some of the same skills.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of cool stuff. What else have we got? Events. Let's start with the year that has ended. What have we accomplished this year? We released our game book. Was that this year?
Nope, that was last year.
My Lord.
Almost 2 years ago now.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We spoke at the IPCA NACSW Joint Conference in January in Southern California. And then we did a bunch of workshops and stuff there.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm opening my calendar because I don't know.
Trish got her NW2.
She got her NW1 and her NW2.
And yes.
And she got her BH.
Yes, she got her BH. Maggie got her NW1. Did not get a chance to do her NW2. I had her entered in a trial, but duty called and I had to judge the trial instead of competing in it. It's probably for the best because I haven't been training her, so we probably would have miserably failed, but you never know.
I don't think you would have miserably failed.
No, probably not. I was very surprised with how well she did in the NW1, so you never know.
Yeah. Recently,
a herding instinct test did Maggie
yesterday
and Catfish and Minnow.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yes.
I
might put a couple clips out for people to enjoy watching a bulldog chase sheep.
Yeah, she had a blast. The other day, I put together a list of all the states I've been in this year, but I think I deleted it.
Oh, why would you delete it?
There were like 15 states.
Wow. Yeah, we did a lot of traveling. We went to Colorado camp.
Yep, we both taught at Colorado camp. I also taught at Virginia and Pennsylvania camps.
Yep.
It looks like we're going to be going to Colorado camp again this fall.
So if you want to work with us in a camp setting, that's the camp to go to. It's also, in my opinion, the best camp. You get to drive everywhere, crate out of your car. It's fantastic. You don't have to drag your crates all over the place. So there's some advantages there.
Or have the poor helper people.
Yes.
Drag your crates everywhere.
Also, just talking about things I've achieved, and feel free to put your achievements of this year in the comments.
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be great.
Boost our engagement. You know, you guys like us, right? Catfish and Minnow have earned 3 legs each of their master title, I think. And so they're well on their way. They should finish their master retriever title this year. I'm going to do more pointing stuff with Catfish and see what happens. Beth saying she survived this year. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn our attention to next year.
Okay.
What goals and things do we have planned?
Well, I'm hoping to do more summit trials with Icy because I only got to do one with her in 2025. So I've got several on the calendar that I'm going to attempt to get into. Tris hopefully will get into and get to go to a few NW3s. Maybe we'll get some titles, maybe not. Who knows? Yeah, those are some of my main things.
Yeah, I want Tris to get her IGP1 and maybe her too. It's not outlandish that we could potentially do both this year.
Yeah.
She's a very fun dog and she's kind of like super chill and easygoing and learns things quickly. It won't be amazing passes, but you know, it's me learning the sport, and yeah, they could be. I did get high BH.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Undersell her.
After Minnow gets her master title, then I'm going to start doing elite with her again. I kind of put that on the back burner because it was too hard for me to train for elite and hunting at the same time.
Although she did debut in elite in this last year. She did. With the first place overall.
Absolutely. I also, well, maybe I won't announce that. One of the goals I had after she got her master.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, we won't announce that.
You may find out at some point. Yes. It actually happens. Got some cool stuff in here.
Yes.
Hoping for Archie to pass his ORT and NW1.
Yes,
hopefully,
good luck.
Someone else get an NW2 title and a senior hunter.
Nice.
It looks like
Derby points, very impressive.
Sky got his NW1.
Congrats.
Delta got her Derby points. Lots of good stuff.
I am going to be going out to California a little bit more regularly in the coming year because one of my life goals that I've always wanted to have was to start an untouched Mustang horse from scratch. And I went to California not that long ago to get started on that journey and refine my horsemanship. I'm going to go back again in February, and I'll be buying a Mustang and starting a Mustang. So that's one of my goals. We want to do a lot more events for you guys. We want to do more murder mysteries, more of the special things that we can offer you guys that aren't as easy to offer. Yeah. Hopefully we can do better with advertising and stuff, and so people know that we're doing it. What? No, that's not directed towards you. It's directed towards us.
Okay. I mean, sometimes people are hosting things where they're just not publicly announcing them. So.
Oh, wow. Stormy should become the second elite champion Papillon. Congratulations. That would be very cool.
And Caleb got his NW1 and wrapped up his novice AKC with high.
Congrats.
What else
goals? Well, Maggie, getting into NW2 and NW3. I haven't checked recently, but there were a couple bulldogs that were going for NW3 elite. There isn't one yet. So she could be the first NW3 elite bulldog if I actually, work hard with her and power through. But we'll see. We'll see if that happens with all my other goals. And if we don't, that's okay. It's not a big deal. I do want to add a couple more dogs to my NW1 list. So I might put out some ads for that.
Other breeds that you have.
Other breeds, yes, exactly. So keep anybody knows somebody who has dogs they don't mind loaning. I have some rules about how that works, but I like to start them from scratch. I don't like to get a dog and then trial them. It's the training process to train a dog to NW1 that I'm looking for. But people will get free board and train and whatever, that kind of thing.
And the NW1 is sort of like the proof of the pudding of the starting the dog and getting them into trial.
Yes. Okay, should we get to questions?
Sure, we've got quite a lot of them.
You're looking that up?
Yeah, I was just looking up English Bulldog titles, but I don't need to keep doing that if we're ready to answer questions.
I think there's no one with 3.
No, there's one English Bulldog with 2.
And the last one was 2021, so it was like 4 or 5 years ago. So I think they're probably not continuing.
Probably. So start entering Maggie in some more trials.
That could be fun. Okay, so let's look at your questions. Go ahead. Yes.
Go ahead with that one while
with
I try
what
to
one?
Get this one working. Okay, we can do that one. Facebook or my computer are having issues right now. Okay, so suggestions for a dog that starts to source a hide, working the odor plume, then breaks off to go look for another hide. Maybe single hide training sessions, let them wander off looking for a non-existent hide, then reward for coming back and finishing sourcing. If this happens in competition, obviously no one trying to source, hold them in the area or plan on coming back to the area.
Yeah, so the first thing you need to do is buy our Mastering Multiple Hides course, because that's what that whole course is about. I think Multiple Hide is all about, for me, it's about cataloging. It's about teaching the dog not to pursue easier problems in favor of, any whatever else, right? Just like focus on one hide at a time. And so,
multiple hides always pulls away from sourcing and stickiness.
Yes.
Pretty much always.
Yeah. So you got the right idea about most of this stuff. Single hides is probably one of the most important things. It should be our default. It should be what we're mostly doing. And so if you're not doing mostly single hides, then you will at some point teach cataloging if you're not careful. So letting them wander off to look for non-existent hides, super, super valuable. And then you can let them come back, finish sourcing, and pay them. You can also teach them that if they wander away from a hide, maybe they don't come back. Maybe they get put away. There's other choices that we want to show the dog are possible.
Yeah, 30-second game, also known as Now or Never, can be really valuable for this issue. You can also mess around with how the search area is set up. Make it harder for them to just wander off from a hide. Like maybe there's an enclosed section, like enclosed with an X pen, or a hide per room, or different things that discourage the leaving part. I have found X pens particularly useful because the dog will kind of think they can leave, and they'll turn to leave, and then they'll realize that there isn't an entrance where they thought there was an entrance. And then it's easier to work the hide that they're in.
And probably one of the more important things that has to be addressed here is, why is the dog leaving? And generally, I would say the answer for that is that they don't have enough stickiness, which is part of my argument for paying the dog multiple times for finding a hide. And more important than that, challenging them on every hide. Asking the dog to commit harder and harder and harder to a hide so that they really demand payment. If the dog is taught that every hide will be challenged and every hide will require their maximum amount of effort, the dog is less likely to pass off and leave and not give effort. So you need to go back to stickiness if you've left it. Remind the dog they get paid multiple times for resisting challenge, not just for bopping it with their nose. And the other main reason that dogs will leave a hide problem is because there's some confidence issue, which is why regular confidence building is requirement for any good nosework dog.
Even a super confident dog.
Yeah, it may be not as a parent that confidence is playing a role because the dog is so confident that we don't even recognize when there's a minute confidence thing, like just I'm going to walk around this grate instead of walk over it.
Yeah.
That little nudge in just a couple inches, even a totally confident dog could do that. But that avoidance could push them out of an odor cone or make them miss things.
Yeah. Also, if there's over arousal, that can contribute to leaving things early. And you mentioned if this happens in competition, hold them in the area you're planning on coming back. I will sometimes in practice be running my dog on leash in a search. And if I think they've been working a hide and go to leave, I might in that situation not allow them to leave that area and say, we were working on something here. Let's finish this.
Yeah.
If you're having to do a lot of that, then clearly there's more underlying things you need to work on. But it can be a useful thing here and there. And just not allow that to happen.
I think it's really valuable to understand the emotional part of it for the handler and the dog, because it's like, well, isn't that helping the dog? There's a big difference between helping the dog find a hide and telling the dog, you're not allowed to leave until you solve this. I'm not going to help you, but I saw you caught odor. You saw you caught odor. I know, and you know that I know. And you're not allowed to leave until you solve this problem.
Yeah.
That is a very difference between adding that kind of constraint to the dog and by nudging them to the hide. Those are very different things.
Yeah. And this is another piece of the mastering multiple hides. But we'll do like a segmented search in a larger room. And you can have total freedom within the section you're in.
Yes.
But you are not allowed to leave the section you're in to go find a hide in another section.
Yes.
So that can be a really organized way of working on what we're talking about that can feel a little bit less like you're being mean or doing something. You're just, insisting that they complete a section before you let them move.
Yeah. So now to talk about competition strategy, whenever you talk about competition strategy, I think it's very useful to understand this matrix of decisions and their outcomes. One of these days I'll design the matrix as a graphic so people can see, but basically hold them in the area or leave. Those are our two choices. Okay. And I've made both of those choices. Okay. And here's the basic matrix. Hold them in the area and you were wrong. And so you cause a false alert, or you time out, just wasting time in an unproductive area, or hold them in an area and it was the correct choice. The dog finds a hide that they would have missed and you pass and you get a ribbon. Great. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. Leave the area. I've left the area and left the hide behind, and that was it. And we missed a hide and we've lost a title. I've also left an area and that was the right choice because I could have wasted time there or drawn a false alert out of the dog. Every single one of those choices could be right or wrong. How do you know the difference? You don't know the difference in the moment. You have to go with your gut, go with your intuition. I know people don't like that, but it's the truth. You have to trust your intuition. Your intuition only gets better by you making choices and learning what the consequences are. Over time, your eye will get better. You'll turn certain ways, and you just got to be careful about the psychological traps that people go in. Confirmation bias, where they go, they don't want to call alert, and then they left and they were correct, and they go, I know I shouldn't have trusted my dog, and they kind of go further down an extreme pathway.
You have to be so careful about what's reinforcing to us
exactly
during and after trial.
Exactly.
And we can find those, we don't have to be in one part of the matrix or the other the whole time. We can say, hey, let's make sure we weren't being sloppy, but then let's not overstay and let's move on to the next area.
Yeah.
Figuring out how long you can ask. Like, something I've been talking to people a lot about over the last few months is, like, if you're asking about a space a third time, God forbid a fourth time, you are at a very, very high risk for falseness.
Now, to take this very clearly, if I'm in a competition and I believe that my dog is in odor and that they're wanting to leave, okay, what I'm likely to do in that case depends on the level. A little bit. Okay. So if it's NW1, 2, or 3, I'm probably going to stay in that area, being open-minded that maybe it's trapping or blowing here and coming from somewhere. I'm going to be open-minded to that possibility, but I'm going to say, we're not going to go do some new problem. We're going to stick in this area and solve this problem. That's what I'm likely to do. Now in elite, I might make other choices where I would decide to, maybe this hide is just taking too long and I'd rather get more points. That might be a good choice or a bad choice. Follow the matrix that I talked about already. But there might be chances in elite where even though I know my dog is working a hide, I might still choose to leave, which I need to be careful about that. If I make those choices too often, you can actually teach the dog to abandon certain hide problems. And I
think that happens a lot.
Just worked with someone recently who they'd been in a lot of trials where they'd been leaving elevated hide problems because they were taking too long. And the dog had learned, when you catch an elevated, we're just going to leave, and was actually ignoring elevation because of that. It was a trained behavior. The dog learned to do that from the handler handling that way in the trial. Yeah. So everything you do in a trial, you need to counterbalance. And even when you do well in a trial, you should be thinking, okay, what tools did I use? And what are the balancing tools that I need to reemphasize?
Yeah. Okay. All right. We can go to this one, and then we'll go to the Facebook questions.
Sure.
Training for an ORT now. Should I keep boxes pristine? Keep boxes used with odor separate from non-odor boxes? Oh, wait. This is one we already answered.
Okay.
Sorry. There is one related to ORT training, which is why I got confused, but
Are we done on this list? There was only one question?
Yes, because I couldn't copy the other one from Messenger because my computer is having...
You want to read it from Messenger?
Yes, I do. Okay. A dog who gets frantic / walking on, shifting, grabbing, and dislodging boxes when he gets an odor. Container specific problem. And also she has additional information on Facebook. Ramps up as he does more rounds. So like an ORT practice, he was okay on the first round. There was a little bit of problem on the second round. And then a lot of destruction on the third round.
I want to know if it's the same on or off leash. Because one of the things I learned early on in training was that dogs were very aware of what they're doing with their feet. So there was this game we had to do where we put up all these water bottles on the floor and stood them up. And we needed the dog to knock them over. And you won based on how many water bottles the dog knocked over without you going in. And people thought, oh, I'll just let my big goof of a dog out and he just run around and knock over the water bottles. And they would not knock over a single one.
It was amazing.
They would miss every single one of them. They knew exactly where they were putting their paws. And people don't think that they do because the dog runs around the home like a maniac and knocks things over at home. Basically, if they're on leash, we could accidentally be causing them to do that by knocking them off balance and doing other things that are influencing their movement. So that's one question: is it the same on or off leash? Because that's a different training plan. If you let the dog off leash and the dog isn't destroying the boxes, then I would say we need to do something with a handler to get them to handle the leash better and stop fighting with the dog over this.
Yeah. Now it does sound like arousal as the dog keeps running. And maybe, sometimes dogs get particularly frustrated as they keep running containers. And I think in some cases, even though the hot container is moving, they may feel like they're kind of doing the same task repeatedly, and that may add to increasing arousal. She says, I have removed us from the search area and restarted, and that has worked reasonably well.
Good.
And I don't know how long I think you said something about taking breaks between the rounds, but how long of a break? How is your dog coming into the search? Are they like dragging you into the search? Are you and they taking a moment to like decrease arousal before you start?
So one thing that I talk about in my intro classes in particular, but also in some of my other classes, is building of endurance. And one of the cautions I give to people is that working on endurance too much will create a dog who's lower drive because they're like conserving energy. So with a dog like this, you might actually be able to use that to your advantage, setting up search scenarios that are going to take 20, 30 minutes for the dog to solve every single time. Obviously, you can't do that in class, but you can give that as homework. What would happen if you put 4 boxes out in a huge park? And they're really far apart from each other, and there may or may not be hides on the boxes themselves. Maybe it's even a blank search. Maybe we go 15, 20 minutes of searching before we plant a hide. And then when the dog has settled in and gone something a little calmer, then they're able to find a hide. Doing that repeatedly might bring the dog down into a more calm mindset. I think that might not be a bad thing for that dog. Now, keep in mind that bell curve, the dog is going to get worse before they get better. They really have to give up on the strategy of being overly destructive and crazy like that. I also do a lot of work with destructive alerts, and my strategy for destructive alerts is to tell the dog that they're not allowed to be destructive with the boxes or whatever it is. And I think that's a piece of the puzzle that I would also like to add, is the ability to tell the dog, stop biting, scratching, stepping on the boxes. Don't do that. And you have to teach the dog what that means. Otherwise, they're just going to be confused. And the handler, who's probably frazzled, is probably just going to start yelling. And that's not what we want. We want clear communication. No, stop doing that. Do this instead.
And I think the boxes are very fun to push around, to step on, to grab, partially because they're very easy to crush and move. So it'd be interesting to see, if you had the same 2 rows of containers, but there was a metal chair flipped over on top of every box. Would the dog's arousal ramp up in a similar way? Or when those aren't as available to mess around with, is the dog really different?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would want to do some more fact finding to figure out the pieces that need to be addressed.
For sure.
All right.
Hopefully that's helpful.
You can always ask follow-ups.
Yes.
Okay. We've got another box pawing question. My little JRT gets so excited with containers. In training, I swoop in to mark and reward as quickly as I can.
That won't work.
We're never faster than the dogs.
No.
In trials, I have to wait for a yes. Also true, I am attempting to discern the difference between a distractor and odor.
Yeah.
She puts her feet on boxes and will even sit on them if I give her a chance. Michael gave me advice on distractions that has helped immensely. I put them in every search, not just container searches. We haven't gotten faulted yet for boxes.
You probably won't.
But again, one of the benefits of having a small dog.
Yes.
But have gotten warnings from kind judges in 2 consecutive trials. We passed our NW2 in November and just tried our first NW3.
So
don't worry about those. We already dealt with those.
Okay. So one, rewarding earlier is not going to work. What you all end up doing is rewarding scratching and pawing and other things even faster. And so then the dog's getting there faster to do it. And
that's more amped up because we're amped up trying to get in there.
You can only be fast enough if you pair, but even that only avoids the problem. Like the idea of unlearning, I think is a myth. I don't think there is actually unlearning. I mean, there's some scientific studies about unlearning, and most of them always put somewhere that the spontaneous recovery of a behavior is a true problem. Like you can unlearn a behavior for years, and then in the wrong context, boom, the behavior's back.
Yeah.
So
And anyone who's retraining any kind of distraction will almost always see it pop up.
Yeah.
And that popping up will get less over time if the training is going correctly. But you can never think that it's not going to show up ever again.
Yeah. Honestly, this is a bad answer. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it with your dog. Once you make it through NW3, even if you, okay, it's a fault, first of all. In the worst case scenario where she really destroys a box, it's a fault. You don't lose your title. You lose a place.
If it was too horrific, it could be a
it could. I guess
your dog's side. That's fine.
No, it's not going to. And how horrific would it have to be? The dog would literally have to be eating the box,
if the
and the handler doing nothing.
Open, you should probably get dismissed.
Maybe, but you're gonna see fewer and fewer containers in Elite. And yes, you should still fix it. But I'm just saying, once you get past NW3, the rate of containers drops off.
You will, but don't be surprised.
You will see them
in Elite.
Yes.
You will. Now we can give an answer where we actually give some advice also. But I also think it's different for a dog who's doing this thing on like any hide anywhere is very different than a dog who kind of messes around with containers occasionally. But I do think it's worth putting some effort into reducing.
Yes, I do too. I just don't think it's worth fixating on. I think you should fix it. Okay, here's some advice. One, you need to teach the dog a signal that means don't do that. Okay. My favorite way to teach this signal is to put a whole bunch of really great food in a small wire crate. And the dog is going to want it and they're going to scratch at it. And at that moment, I can tell them, stop. Don't do that. Go search. Okay. And I can use the same training techniques that I use in my crittering searches, my peeing in a search area searches. If you don't know what those are, take a class, ask about them, we'll help you. But I think to really reduce a problem behavior, you need to have a punishment program that is reasonable, that the dog can understand, and it can be consistent and is not going to diminish the dog's drive or understanding in any way.
Well, because the problem is, especially with like just being fast, is that you're not actually telling the dog that you don't want something. And most dogs, if you just give them just a small explanation of I don't want you to do that, they're like, oh. Okay,
and I suppose it might be worth doing the whole disclaimer. Using punishment in the scientific sense, that means to reduce the behavior. I'm not talking about being mean or hurting the dog or anything like that. I'm talking about doing things that will actually communicate to the dog we want a reduction in that behavior. And then the second thing is that we probably will need to replace the behavior the dog's currently offering with something that we actually like. And this is one of the few areas where I will help you teach a formal alert.
Like incompatible behaviors can be amazingly quickly effective.
The problem, yes, they can, but the reason they work isn't, in my opinion, because it's a incompatible behavior. The reason it works is because the dog scratching in most of these cases, not necessarily in your case, but in most of these cases, the scratching was a desired behavior for the handler that they liked because they felt it was reliable. And so they like it. They wait for the dog to scratch so they can call alert. So even in training, you can be training as well as you can, but you get to a trial and you still wait for the scratch because you feel like that's more reliable.
And a lot of dogs want to do something if they feel unheard. And so giving them that incompatible behavior tells them, here's something I want you to do, which can be helpful to as a placeholder that gives them something to do.
But that's diverting from the point I'm trying to make, which is that giving them another behavior gives you something to latch onto that's not scratching.
Yes. Well, I would prefer handlers didn't latch onto.
I would prefer that too.
Which is why I like to think about it from the dog's perspective, and for the handler to ideally not actually care what behavior the dog is doing, except that it's not destructive. And it gives you time to call alert, and your alert call should be based on the odor behaviors your dog is giving you, not some discrete behavior that you've selected.
Yes. So if you can fix it on food and toy distractions first, then you develop a language with the dog that tells them don't do this instead, right? Then you can apply it on odor after you've already taught the concept on food distractions. So I'd rather not teach the concept on odor. I'd rather teach it in another context where then we can transfer it over.
Well, and we like to give our dogs that language outside of nose work
In obedience and other things.
early on, teaching them, no means not that. You're not going to get paid for that. Yes means you are going to get paid for that. That's what I wanted. And they are very, very simple protocols, which probably a lot of you already use. But when that's something that's well understood and low stress, because it's been explained easily outside of nose work, then that sort of thing can be no big deal, instead of potentially like harming your odor or something.
I have a destructive alerts curriculum that I want to work on and develop for people. I need a few dogs, because my dogs don't scratch. I need a few dogs who will scratch. Now, I was just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should just train a dog to scratch so I can film the lessons. Yeah,
you want?
I could. Anyways, I that's one of my courses that I would like to get out this year, and one of my goals for this year is to get out more courses for you. I have a lot of courses in the works, so hopefully I'll release them soon.
Good. Okay, next question.
Sure.
What do you do after an NW3 trial that maybe didn't go as planned? What are your general recovery practice ideas and any specific exercise? We have a whole NAMA on this.
Mm-hmm.
I know what we need to work on and understand it wasn't just us. Stockton NW3 1220 interior with whiteboard, but wondered what you do generally after trials. We already have 2 NW3 titles and we did really well in those trials, so I know we can do this.
Yes. Okay, so yes, we have a trial recovery NAMA that I want to direct you to. The drills that we recommend are there. So I'm not going to go through them all again, especially because we've got a trial recovery webinar that we're working on.
Yes.
And so that's all coming out too in more structured formats, but you've definitely lit a fire under my ass to work on it a little bit more. I will say that some people are a little confused, like they have to leave the trial and do that evening. No. I just mean you got to do these drills before your next trial, right? And any drills that are difficult, you lean into. I will say,
I'm sure you have upcoming trials pretty soon, so that's probably a very unsatisfactory answer.
My main answer to you is, what do you generally do after trials? Is find something that you're really happy with and celebrate it. That's probably the most important thing for you to do, and not fixate on things that went wrong yet, not immediately. Then after you've celebrated, then when the emotions are low, then you go and, okay, these are the drills that I need to do to fix whatever happened.
And if any of you are doing a lot of searches, a lot of trials close together and not relayering your foundation, you're asking for trouble to start popping up in future trials. So highly encourage everyone who's trialing to make sure that's a core component of what you're doing. Not like I need to set up some big advanced thing for my next trial. No, go back to fundamentals, go back to foundation, and rebuild that fundamental criteria. Because dogs get so confused by the weird things we reinforce in trials.
The other thing I want to point out is that you have 2 NW3 titles and you're getting your last one. And the last one comes with a little extra stress. I would say the last NW3 is the hardest one to get. And so it might be worth pointing out that maybe you don't have any problem other than your own added stress for, like, I just want to be done with NW3.
And someone else who was at that trial also shared her video. And I mean, if you happen to be at a trial where something weird happens, that may have nothing to do with you or your dog, and just throw it away. Still do your foundation stuff, still work on your stress, but throw away any negative feelings about how your dog did at that trial.
If you don't know how to find our NAMA about trial recovery, it's in the members area of our website. So you just have to be a premium member, and then you can access it.
And it's called Trial Recovery.
It's titled,
it was November of last year or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, keep that in mind. Do we need anything more from here?
Only if we want to. Here's something. So this person had a follow-up. She says, I'm in your same boat as well. I already have 2 full 100% pass NW3s, and we are placing in the top 3 at Elite S's, but I bombed the last 3 trying to get that final Elite NW3 title to start trialing Elite. So that is exactly what Michael's talking about with there's so much more pressure on getting the last one. I know a number of people who are in that boat right now. And so finding mental management, stress reduction ways of dealing with that is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I might take you up on using Finn for the videos because I think he would be a good demo dog.
Yeah.
It may not fix the problem for you, but it'll be a good video for me.
And she's made a lot of progress on
Yes, you
his
have.
destruction.
But it is recovering. I see it whenever in certain situations, or if the hide is not quite, if it's very available for him, or these kind of things, it pops back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it says Rain took a first place in an NW3 with a 90.9 score. That tells you how the trial went. Yep. Sometimes things are hard.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next question. 1, I just took a 5-month-old puppy on a trial to see if she's a good fit. What are some things you guys look for in a new nosework partner? Any specific drills or exercises you do to evaluate suitability for a future sport dog?
Yes. Well, no, actually.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Because when we get a new dog, we are picking the parents. We're not picking the puppy. You may have a different opinion to me, but I don't believe in puppy picking. I don't believe in puppy temperament testing. I don't believe that you can gain any information from it whatsoever. I think you pick parents and then you go bloop and you pick a puppy. It's great. Or you pick the parents and you go, I like the red one. I like red color, because you've already done the work of picking the parents. I really don't believe. I think a lot of puppy stuff becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think it's important that you have a connection with the puppy the first time you meet it, but that is more internal to your psychology than some real external thing.
Well, I think it depends. And I also think it depends on the breed to some extent.
I don't think it depends on the breed at all. What do you mean?
I have known breeders who are very good at understanding their litters and specifics about the puppies that make them a little bit better for this person versus that person that I think are real.
I believe that's complete placebo. That's my personal belief there. Is that you tell them this thing, they believe it, they turn it into what it is. But and I know everyone will disagree with me. That's fine. You can.
And also, I do agree with you in that I let my breeders pick my puppy.
Yeah. So, and I do that because I don't think it matters. But okay, specific drills. I think what's important with a new nosework partner is play with the dog. Don't train the dog. Don't do a drill or an exercise. Just play with the dog with a toy. Play with the dog with a toy. Feed them. Teach them a trick. Whatever. Just learn who your dog is. Now, what would I look for? I want a dog who is interested in what I'm doing with them. I want a dog who seems to want to figure out what I'm trying to get from them.
I also like a puppy who recovers well if something startles them.
Sure.
When we lived in California, we trained at the facility that was run by a breeder, and she would bring her puppy litters and have us do just our basic first round of intro to nosework with them. And she liked doing that because it gave her some good information about her puppies. She saw how they did with our buckets that we like to use that are a little weird. How interested in food were they? How much did they focus? Did they startle about things or anything like that? And, whether or not that was the full picture of why the dogs ended up the way they were, she found it very useful in placing her puppies.
Yeah. I personally believe that a dog who's temperamentally stable will be a good future sport dog if you're a good trainer. And I think the proof for that is all the phenomenal sport dogs that have been taken as adult dogs from shelters. They were not picked based on lineages or anything else. They were picked because they were just temperamentally sound. Yeah. And a good trainer, a good handler can develop that dog into anything you want.
Yep. And also, dogs who aren't overweight and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yes. And it just like temperamentally sound means has a normal health, likes food, likes playing, likes toys. And if the dog doesn't like food, it has some serious health issue, that would break it into a category that I would say it wasn't temperamentally sound, basically.
Yeah. And there are so many dogs in nosework who people got never expecting to do anything with them, and they're amazing.
Yes. So
I
just don't pick anything extreme.
Yeah.
And you'll be okay.
Yeah. You have to pick a dog that you like.
Now, if you want the next national champion nosework dog, then we're talking about, okay, you should be looking at a Labrador or a Malinois or one of these breeds that performs in this way, and looking from lineages that come from top sport lines. That's a different thing. And I'm not saying you can't achieve national champion status with any dog. You could, but I'm saying if you're wanting that, then you need to start with the best raw material you're starting with.
Yeah. And if you don't, like, Michael's trying to talk me to get a lab, I don't want a lab.
Which is fine. You don't need a lab.
No, but there are
I wanted
people,
you to get a lab for different reasons.
I know. There are people who will pick breeds based on, wanting to do well. I think it's more important to pick breeds based on what you like and want to live with.
Like, I wouldn't have picked a bulldog, but I do pick my breeds based on, I want my dog to be the first dog of this breed to get a title or whatever. So I want a sight hound at some point in the future. I will be looking at sight hounds. I have certain criteria, but I'm not picking a sight hound to be my national world champion nosework dog, but I do want it to be a good nosework dog. But I'm picking it because that's what I want to do. I want to do this with this particular breed.
Yeah.
So it's just about recognizing what your goals are, and then setting yourself up to achieve those goals, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know someone who had a dog live with them for a couple weeks, and they were considering, if they were the next home for it. And they discovered there were some things they really disliked about the dog. The dog was not particularly sociable with people or dogs. And they said, this is not what I want to live with. So they gave it back and found a dog they absolutely adore.
Yeah.
Okay. Her second question: when you're training on primary, do you vary what you use as a food reward, or do you use the same all the time for consistency?
No, change it up. Right. Not only what kind of food, but how much food per hide you're using. Change everything. More variety, the better.
Yeah. And when people come to my class with food, often they'll give me multiple options, and I'll do some hides with this hide is the chicken, and this hide is the cheese, and this hide is the ham. And then I'll do some where I pick some from each of those. And see does the dog pick and choose it all, because that's interesting information to have.
It is.
But also we know from studies that dogs with a varied diet have better olfaction. And so whatever different places you can add variety to their diet is good.
Absolutely.
And from a scenting, like you say, consistency, I don't want the dog to think that the hide should always smell the same. It's not going to always smell the same.
No.
And so I like for that to start early.
It is primary. So it is a hide, but it's not necessarily what they're doing with the food, and primary isn't necessarily going to transfer like that to odor in exactly that way.
Sure. But there's some dogs are really weird about picking up patterns.
Yes.
And if they think searching is only searching for this brand of chicken hot dog,
yeah, exactly,
it's harder to transition things later.
Yes. And I tend to find the people who are most concerned with providing consistency create those dogs.
Yes. Not that you do.
No.
Just that that's something that we've seen come up.
Yes.
Okay, next one. What 3 more or less things do you think competitors worry about too much going into a trial, and what things do you think they would be better off focusing on?
What an interesting question.
People
worry too much about what hides are going to be set, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They worry too much about... I'm going to lump it together, environmental conditions, weather, what the location's going to be like. If you're worried about that, you should be worrying about that in training, not at the trial. You're already here. You're already signed up. So
or don't go.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go.
If you're really, really, really worried about rain, maybe you should pull. We knew someone who was desperately worried about the fact that it was going to be windy that day in trial. Okay, so you didn't do the prep to not be worried about wind. And that is what it is. But either go and don't worry about it, or don't go.
They also worry too much about, maybe this isn't right. It's not worry exactly. The anxiety of how they're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
They're spending too much time rehearsing in their head all the ways they could fail.
Yes, don't rehearse failure. I also think people worry about things like that I'm going to get a wear. Don't even, both before the trial and during searches, do not worry about getting wears.
If it happens, it happens. Don't yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that was...
Do you have anything else to add?
More or less. I'm sure we could come up with more, but not off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
Second question. Do you believe in...
No, we didn't answer the actual second question. What do you think would be better to focus on?
Well, I was going to the next.
Yeah, I know, but we have a second part of this question to answer.
They should focus on having a good day with their dog, on being well rested, having had, nutritious food, having nutritious food with them, having the right things that their dog needs. My mantra for trial is I'm here to show off my dog. So that's something that I focus on.
Yeah, I think the things that will help you reduce your stress for sure are better to focus on. So, for example, I think one of the most toxic things that people practice on a regular basis at trial is talking to other people about nose work and about the trial. Stop doing that. And I have certain rules when I'm at a trial. I know other people have rules, like you can't come over here and complain about your trial day. You're not allowed. No. You take that negativity somewhere else. If you want to be here, we're focusing on positivity and other things. So I would say focus on that. That means, do you need to watch the walkthroughs or do you need to avoid the walkthroughs?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to kind of plan out an idea of what you want to do, or do you want to just not plan it out so much? Especially if you're planning, it's focusing on negatives. Oh, I'm going to false here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No. Just like try to avoid those negative thoughts. Do you need to eat a certain food before the trial or not? You should come into that trial already preparing to do your best and to be a winner.
And knowing what you need is important. Like I need to set up my day before the trial in such a way that I get to sleep well, which is why, like, I used to do things like leave at 3:00 in the morning to get to trials. I don't do that anymore because it does not help my trial day. I'll go the day before and get a hotel or whatever. Because I also won't volunteer the day before I'm trialing. I will volunteer the day after, but I have messed up my trials due to stress, fatigue, and overthinking having volunteered the day before.
Yes.
Some people don't have that problem. So if you don't have that problem, volunteer because we need you.
I personally won't crate indoors. Other people will. If that reduces your stress, great. But for me, taking all their stuff in and worrying about that and hearing other dogs barking in that room, that does nothing for me.
It also tends to not help our dogs.
No. So my dogs are comfortable in my car. That's what they're used to. So that's where they crate. And I've been to several trials where the dogs who didn't take up the indoor crating were the ones that were more successful. Now that may also be just because the dogs were more conditioned to heat in particular. And they were more conditioned because the owners kept them in the cars more regularly, like my dogs.
Well, we also know that coming out of significant air conditioning to like working outside is not ideal.
Yes. So what else should they be focusing on? Reinforcing your dog better. Like people get so stingy at a trial. If you could just pay your dog better, the day's more fun for your dog at least.
Yeah. And the routine to the search.
It also keeps you more positive in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with Tris, she needs to be woken up and like prepped before searches. So I have to get her out a little earlier, play with her a little bit, in the staging area or whatever, so that she's in the right mindset going into a search. And it's a work that I have not had to do with any of my other nose work dogs. So it means a completely different, just like path of like getting ready and getting to a search.
Now you want to go to number 2?
Yeah. Do you believe a solidly odor obedient dog needs a gear change in order for them to know which game they're playing? Why are we, dog sport competitors, so obsessed with gear? So the answer to the second question is because it's pretty and we like it.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, not in all cases.
I don't disagree with that. It's not a necessity for the dog to know what game they're playing. That's a misunderstanding. It's not the gear either. It's the ritual that lets them know when they're searching.
The gear can enable the ritual in useful ways.
It's not about odor obedience. It's about, does the dog know when they're allowed to pee or not? That's what it is more than anything else. You're taking your dog out to potty. How does your dog know when you're pottying them and when you're searching them? And if you say it's just a search command, great if your dog understands that. But for a lot of dogs, having an extra ritual that lets them know they are not allowed to pee during this time period is a critical one.
Yeah,
if you do multiple dog sports, it can help. But yeah, our dogs don't need it. If we forget our collar at home, whatever, they'll still run.
I regularly practice without my equipment, but with my dog who was a marker, being really consistent with her gear, that like, if you go to the bathroom in this gear, the game ends, was totally a game changer for her because I'd been sloppy about it before. And yeah, I think like if like Tris does tracking and nose work regularly. I think it is useful for her to have different gear for those. It's not necessary.
It's not necessary
But I
because
think
the
it's
rituals are so
useful.
different.
Yeah. It's a useful component of the ritual.
Absolutely.
But mostly it's fun and
Yes.
pretty. And I think it put like something important in mental management is that you as the handler can put yourself into the mindset of now I'm in the competition, I'm in the handling. And that can be you using that gear can be a very helpful component for the handler to be in the mindset of competition.
So she's following up and saying
Mhm.
that she has a couple of students who think that their trial performance has everything to do with what their dog is wearing. My general reply to that would be, then you've got a really poorly trained dog. If that's true, because I know if I do a day where we're not allowed to use our normal equipment for searching, my dogs are gonna still win. Okay, bring it on. I don't need to put on their collars. I'll run them completely naked. Great. Okay, so if your dogs need that to succeed, then you need more training.
But I find it especially helpful on the dog side of things in the first, like, maybe 3 months.
You won't catch me too regularly not putting on their equipment because I think it makes them better, but it's not necessary. There's a big difference between useful and necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are a lot more pieces to that whole thing, but I think that's the crux of it. Brian says for his dogs, bait bag equals nose work. And that can be really useful if that's consistent. For some people, they're using their bait bag for absolutely everything they do with their dog.
Yes.
Which would probably mean the dog doesn't pay attention. I think some people, it may matter a lot what leash they're using, what shoes they're wearing, how high their stress level is.
My attire is definitely a big signal for my dogs because I wear a very different attire for tracking as for hunting, as for nose work. My dog absolutely knows when he's going to be doing pointing versus retrieving based on what vest I'm wearing. It's a very big difference.
Yeah. I tend to wear a vest very consistently in trial and not necessarily in practice. So I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think of that as part of my ritual. So
I need to start doing that in my
does,
hunting. I need to wear camo more because I think when my dogs see me in all camo, they're like, it's a trial day, and they get all crazy.
Yeah.
So I probably should get better at that.
Yeah. Yeah, some rituals are useful, some rituals are not useful.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. I'd love to hear a discussion on rewarding effort in a search. How to help your dog understand what they are being rewarded for when it's not nose on source or final indication behavior, etc. I'm new to scent work.
I would generally say we shouldn't be rewarding anything other than nose at source. Obviously, there are going to be times where you can't, like if it's a 20-foot high hide and there's no ladder for the dog to climb, right? You're not going to be rewarding nose on source, but I'm also not rewarding effort. I'm rewarding the dog clear communication as to the location of the hide. I'm not rewarding
final
effort.
indication.
Yeah, it doesn't mean final indication. I do think that there's a difference between that and rewarding effort. I'm not a fan of rewarding effort.
Yeah. I think if we find ourselves in a place where we need or want to reward effort, there's something wrong in the setup or execution of the search where the dog can't do their job properly. And so then I probably want to give the dog a break, modify the search so that it can be completed properly and bring the dog back.
I think what's really important to say here, and this has actually been trending lately in a lot of different circles, you don't reward effort, you don't reward your dog, you reinforce behaviors. That's the way your dog thinks of it. It's not the way humans think of it, it's the way dogs think of it. So when you reward your dog in effort, the dog is trying to figure out what behavior just got reinforced. Mm-hmm. And for what most dogs, that means is actually it's going to end up putting out less effort because they're not going to keep striving for something better. They're going to say, oh, well, that behavior paid. I'm just going to offer that next time. Maybe I'll offer a little less next time.
Yeah. You have to be very aware of what the dog thinks they're getting paid for.
I think the best way to reward effort is to not take anything less than perfection and to set up your training search environments in such a way that the dog can achieve them. Yeah. If they get into these situations in trial, that's fine. I'm not worried about that.
We're going to reward all kinds of nonsense.
Exactly. I just don't want to be setting them up in training over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if my dog is not putting their nose on source, is the hide somewhere they can't physically get to it.
Are they
Maybe
afraid?
I'm doing that too early in training, or I should be enabling them to be able to get to source instead of paying them early. Are they worried? Yeah. Do I need to make the confidence component of it less challenging so I can get them to do just like the top of what they can do to get there? Is my dog actually confused about what the job is? Because some dogs don't put their nose on source because they don't actually think that's the job. So then we just need to explain to them that's the criteria that you get paid for. And they're like, oh, I can put my nose on source most of the time. I just didn't know that's what you actually wanted.
Yes. In the Ethology Institute group, there's been an article going around on Dr. Roger Brandon's page in particular. There's been a big discussion about reinforcer versus reward, and Roger also has an article on his website about rewarding effort. I'll try to remember. If I don't remember, someone post, but I'll try to put the links to those articles in the comments, because they basically map onto what I believe about that. And I think when you get out of your head about the emotions, about how we feel, and you start thinking about it from the dog's perspective, that we've taught them to use those reinforcers as information about what behaviors are going to be reinforced. Then you have to understand, what behavior am I reinforcing at any moment, and not be thinking about, oh, but they're trying so hard. Doesn't matter. You're going to confuse your dog by changing the whole game for them if now you're rewarding not just behaviors, but the way you feel about how they're doing. Because we don't actually know if they're frustrated or if they would push through, if they or we don't know.
So often we just wait a few more, like 5 to 10 more seconds, and the dog completes the job.
Yes.
Whereas, our like, oh, but I don't want to stress them, would have made us pay them for something that may have totally confused them. I think a lot of people's dogs are really confused in nose work because they've gotten paid for things that they couldn't figure out exactly what they got paid for, or they thought they got paid for looking at the handler or jumping up or something that was a behavior that happened, but wasn't connected to odor. And so now they're offering these weird disconnected behaviors because it worked at some point. So sometimes this kind of stuff can feel really nitpicky. And I encourage everyone, if you're reading those articles or thinking about this, to not worry about like if this is nitpicky or not, but to think about
results.
Both results and then clarity for the dog.
Yes,
because we can make
dogs care about clarity
if we can make it clearer, and we can make it clearer by thinking more about what behavior are we reinforcing versus our concerns and stress and stuff. And also set up your environment to get the results you want.
Yes.
Versus having to like fix things later.
And I'm not saying that I won't occasionally take something suboptimal.
Suboptimal,
yeah. It happens. But effort's not a behavior. And when that happens for me and I paid something not what I should have paid, I think, what do I need to do for the next 10 searches to fix the mistake I just made? Mm-hmm. And the mistake was probably what I set up, not necessarily what I rewarded. Maybe it was both.
Yeah. And remembering that you can give your dog a break and fix what you set up and bring them back out. And that often we get really tied up in feeling badly about that, and we shouldn't.
Yes.
All right.
When's our next NAMA?
That's a great question. And while I'm looking for that, if you have any follow-up questions in the chat.
Don't ask them because I got to go.
Also, if any of you were posting in Facebook, we have not been looking at that.
So we'll throw them on next month's NAMA queue if anybody added questions on Facebook. Remember, the best way to ask questions is directly on YouTube.
During the live stream.
Yeah.
After the live stream, don't ask questions.
Well, you can ask questions. We just won't answer them.
Yeah.
But not until the next one.
Yeah. Okay. January 26th. Does that work for you?
I think so.
Okay. January 26th at 5 p.m. Central.
Excellent. 5 p.m. Central, January 26th. We will see you there. Start sending your questions. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for participating in the chat. We appreciate it.
Bye.